Hi class, this is a screencast that I'm going to make for you to talk about some of the things I demoed in class on Thursday, mainly with the pie chart, how to make a hip pie chart. First thing we're going to do is just make the normal pie chart that Illustrator has built in, and you'll notice right here is the pie chart tool. You probably have, it defaults to the column graph tool, but let's just make the standard pie chart in Illustrator. It works just fine. It actually looks pretty good. So I'm going to go ahead and pull out a marquee. Remember, the size of the marquee you pull out will be the size of your pie chart. So roughly that's what I'm going to want here, and I'm going to put my values in, and I'm just going to make some stuff up here real quick. So apples, oranges, and pears. And then I'm just going to give it some percentages. 15, 25. And there you have it. You have your really simple, easy to make pie chart. Now, if we're going to change the colors or affect any of these things, we need to take our white arrow tool and select them individually. But let's first select the whole chart, and let's get rid of that stroke. And then that way we have no stroke around any of these colors, around the pie chart. It just looks better without it. Now remember, you're going to see over here my library of colors. So these are all ones I have downloaded from Cooler, and they automatically just show up in here. So if I want to use one of these colors, I would essentially just right click on it and then add to my swatches. Now I've added the Sunset City to my swatches already. So I'm going to use this color as kind of my theme for today's exercise. So if I choose this part of the pie and I want to go with my theme, which I have right here loaded in my swatches, I'm just going to go with the orange there, choose this part, choose the yellow, choose this part, and choose the purple. So then there I have something much more interesting, and I've got a nice color scheme going here, which I downloaded from Cooler. It looks great. Then if I want to make sure I match the right color to the box, I can simply make sure you're still on the white arrow tool, select the appropriate box, and then use your eyedropper tool to grab the colors. Super simple way to do that. Remember, you can also affect the text. Make sure you choose your white selection arrow tool, and I'm going to click the first one, hold shift, and click the next three, and then I can excuse me, change the font. That's a horrible font, just something, there we go. And I can change the size. That's a little way too big. So you have all of that control at your disposal. You can also then move these. Oops, so my white selection tool, hold shift. I can move these around a little bit to, of course I didn't change these colors yet, but you already know how to do that, to give me something a little bit different if I want. So that's kind of a traditional way to, or you can delete these if you want to just put the percentages in here and write it on top. It's up to you. So that's kind of the more traditional way, oops, to build your pie chart in Illustrator. Remember, you can also, the nice thing about this too is you can just, with the white selection tool, you can just individually pull this apart too. So if you want to highlight a particular section, you could pull it out by just using the white selection tool. Now, if I wanted to do a kind of hipper pie chart, which I showed you in class the other day, this is how it would go. I would select my my ellipse tool, make sure I have a fill here, no stroke, and hold my shift key down just to pull out a nice circle. That's great. Then I am going to choose a different color. Doesn't matter. Oops. Got to select off of that first. I'm going to choose a different color. And then I am going to draw another circle on the inside of that to kind of create that donut effect. It's up to you the size that you want. Make sure you hold the shift key once again to keep it proportionate. Then I'm going to select both of them with my black selection tool just by arrowing over them. And then I'm going to align the centers, and they're already pretty well aligned, and then align the centers there as well. So I've got my align tools up here. I'm using the horizontal center and the vertical center. If you don't see these tools, just always remember it's under Window, Align. And then once I've done that, I'm going to use my Pathfinder. And if you don't see Pathfinder, once again, Window, Pathfinder's there. And I'm going to divide these. It's the first one on the bottom. And that will then allow me to punch out the middle by using my white selection tool. I can just select it and then hit the delete key, and boom, it's gone. Now, if I want to create something similar to this, but in kind of more of the hip donut fashion here, I'm going to make sure my rulers are up, which I can do by simply hitting Command R. Command R will pull your rulers up. I'm going to pull a guide down right to where I think the center is, and I'm going to pull oops, my show guides is turned off, so I need to go to View, Guides, Show Guides. And then I'm going to pull one to the center as well to kind of give me that some correct proportions so I know what I'm dealing with here. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create this bottom one here. I'm going to use my pen tool, but I need to make sure I have a color chosen. It doesn't matter what it is right now, just so I can see what I'm doing. I'm going to select my pen tool. I'm going to click here and here, and then it doesn't matter here. I'm just trying to fill in the rest of that. And remember, you always have to end where you start. And then I'm going to use my black selection tool to select both of these. Divide once again. That's important. Make sure you divide in the Pathfinder. Use your white selection tool to select the areas outside of the donut. And there you go. You've got half of this already. And if I want that color to be blue, oops, I can just pull my swatches down and do that. So there we go. We have half of it done. So my guides have disappeared. It must have happened when I did my selection, but I'll just pull them out again. Then we need to create this half and this half, so I'm going to once again use my, well, first I'll choose just any color so I can see what I'm doing. I will use my pen tool. I'm going to go here, and if you hold your shift down, you'll get a straight line. I'm just going to come straight up 90 degrees and back around, ending where I started. And then I'm going to use my black selection tool to select all of that. And maybe by holding shift and selecting my guides, they won't get divided at this time. All right, you hit divide there. Then your white selection tool, delete, delete. And then I'm going to select that to change the color. I'm going to come back to my swatches, and this was orange. Oops, right here. There we go. And then I'm going to do the same thing with this side, which has been divided already, and I'm just going to change that color to yellow. And there we have a nice donut shape, kind of hipper looking pie chart. And I'm just going to hide my guides real quick to see what we have here. And so I have some issues here, so I can delete that. And there we go. We have a kind of hipper looking pie chart. One other thing I showed you in class was kind of the same idea. I do have a little space in there which I could mess with if I wanted to. Maybe by pulling that down just a little bit, I can get rid of that. So another technique I showed you in class was kind of looking like it was just filled up, like a bubble was filled up. So Let's do the same thing. Let's draw an ellipse with our shift key held down. Let's grab a, oops, click my black selection tool, select off of that, grab a different color, doesn't matter what it is. Draw that inner circle again, hold your shift key down, grab your marquee tool again, select both, align the centers right here. Remember, if you don't see this, go Window Align, and then we're going to vertically align the centers. So there, I have a perfectly placed two circles. I'm going to select them both again, and in my Pathfinder, I'm going to hit Divide. Select my white selection tool, and that inner circle, and hit Delete. So I could pull my guides back down if I wanted to, or just adjust them to give me a point of reference here if I wanted to. You don't necessarily have to pull the guides down, you can eyeball it. But this is where, if you wanted to give that look like something's half filled up, we grab our pen tool here. I'm going to put a point here and a point here. As I click, I'm going to point and drag to get my kind of curve there. I'm going to click back on this last middle point so that I can go a new direction. I'm going to do the same thing over on this side. I'm going to click and hold and kind of try to match that angle to the best of my ability. Something along those lines. Come around the top here. Doesn't really need to look good. End where I started. Choose my black selection tool so that I can select both of those. And then I'm going to divide once again. Use my white arrow tool to delete the unwanted parts. And maybe I'll hide my guides real quick, so I don't have to see those. And then I can change this color to part of my color scheme once again. And there you go. You've got a nice looking kind of half-filled pie chart there. So there's that as well. The nice thing about these, unlike the ones we create, Illustrator creates, we can size them to whatever size we want. One last thing I want to show you real quick that we talked about in class was that kind of vertical bar grid. I'm going to just simply grab my rectangle tool and draw a rectangle, maybe something, let's go about like that. And I'm going to move that over to create a little more room on my canvas. Then I'm going to hold my Option key down to duplicate and just try to match them up vertically and horizontally the best I can. I'll use my Align tool to make these look more even. So I'm going to go to align them on the left, and then I'm going to distribute the centers. Actually, I'm going to vertically distribute the centers there. That way there I have perfect distribution between each box. And then I'm going to once again hold the Option key down to duplicate these four. And make sure they intersect right there. And then I'm just going to move them over a little bit with my arrow key, making sure that they're equal. And then I'm going to change this side. Now you'll see up here, you've got your width of and height of your box. And remember, you can adjust your rulers to either show just by right clicking or control clicking, if you want it to show pixels or inches. I like to see it in pixels. I'm a little more familiar with that. So right now the width is 197, and I'm going to take it down to, let's say, 180. And I'm going to change the color to be part of my color scheme, and I'm just going to run right down. I'm going to go, let's see, I've got 4, so I'll go start with the dark purple. Then I'm going to select the next box. I'm going to change the width, something smaller than 180. I'll go 150. Change the color. I'll come to the black. And then it's up to you what colors you want to use. I'm going to change the width here to 90. Oops, that was not 90. There we go. I'm going to change the color to my orange, and then my final one I'll change to something relatively small, so I'm showing proportion here, and I will change that to yellow. Then I'm simply going to select both sides by drawing a marquee around them with my black arrow tool. Align left, and there you have a nice little kind of bar chart. Or you can align them to the right. Oops. So you can align them to the left or to the right. It's up to you. Okay, so there's a couple of the things that we talked about in class. I hope that helps you.